Hello, family. Welcome back to JT's Mixtape, episode number 22. And guys, this has been a blast making it. If you guys are having a blast listening, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button.
Come closer, my child.
Bryan, how's it going, bro?
I'm doing great. Finding out all the government manipulation, experiencing more of it in my own personal life. But other than that, I'm great.
Are you saying you don't trust the government, Bryan? That doesn't seem like you.
Oh, man, as much as I would love to, Jesus said that we need to love everybody, but Jesus never said love the government. So that's all I'm going to say there.
Yeah, the Bible says to submit to the government, to submit to the authorities, but yeah, you should not love the government. And I don't know why you would. I don't think No, it's satanic ultimately. But obviously God does put people in charge, and even if they're doing us wrong, we are blessed by doing good, and even if we do get punished for it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what's great. And you just keep trucking. And God will bless you no matter what. If you keep doing things, even when you want to give up, the Lord will bless you if you continue moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, it's really interesting. And I'm going to just tease a few things. It's like I have been really feeling impressed upon myself that I've wanted to do something full time. And I'm starting to see the light. I'm starting to see like possible sponsorship opportunities for the podcast, and I'm working on my website big time. So hopefully I'm going to get some merch out there. And I feel like I can see the light. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, because the day job and just general life has been just beating on me. And it's tough. It's tough. I know we mentioned this a couple weeks ago. It's tough because I enjoy this, but it is still exhausting. It's kind of like, if like you have a job you liked, it's still work. It's still taxing on yourself. And I think that maybe part of the whole JT's mixtape, the JT's follows JC, social media platforms, it does center around me being kind of like joyful and discussing things and making it somewhat fun, even though things are scary topics. So sometimes that is difficult to do that when you're just like, dang, this was a day. You're like, but I'm going to sit down and record. And I do feel like that God always gives me a little refresher when I do this, because like earlier today, I was just like, but now that I'm here, I'm glad that I am.
That's awesome. Yeah. The Lord's, there's been times where I've like wanted to give up doing things, and like the Lord was like, do it. And then I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden he's like, bam, reward. That's when the reward comes. It always comes right when you're like, I want to give up. Like the Lord's like, no, and you do it anyways. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, I guess it's the there would be no faithfulness required if it was really easy.
No.
Yeah. I remember back in the day when I was in the field working construction, and one of the all the old construction workers used to always say, if it was easy, little boys and girls would be out here doing it. And I always thought like, that's true. And it's like, what that's really easy is really worth doing. It's like, if it doesn't come with some struggle, I think that's kind of how God has made us, that like we take satisfaction in the things that are not easy. And I've definitely been like that, because I was talking to Ricardo about like sports science and stuff, all the stuff I learned doing marathons and stuff like that. And I know most people hate running. And now when I try to do it now, it's like, I do hate it, because I'm not in that kind of shape anymore. But yeah, it was only because it was tough, because it was rewarding, because it was really easy. Like, it wouldn't be worth talking about.
It's interesting that when you say that, I have an analogy that I like to give people a lot of times. And it's like, You know, like people think all the good things in life are just on the other side of struggle and sacrifice. Like all the good things are. So like, and the reason why it's that way is because like think about like the good fruit on a tree. Like the good fruit on a tree is always out on that limb that like the little monkey doesn't want to climb out on that limb and get, and all the other monkeys are scared to get it. So it sits there and it ripens and it ripens and it ripens because all the other
Mm-hmm.
monkeys didn't go out on that limb. But finally, the one that takes the fear, the one that overcomes the fear and goes out on that limb to get that branch, to get that fruit that's been sitting there ripening the whole time, that's the monkey that gets the reward. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
every
true.
good thing is on the other side of fear. Every good thing in your life is on the other side of fear. And if you're afraid to do something, do it. That's my advice. Like,
Yeah,
if you're afraid, do it.
that's a good point, because also what I did learn through doing endurance races and the training, the struggle was actually part of like the things you look back on and think how like you actually like you look back on that as like in some kind of a, I don't know if it's rose colored goggles, but it is the process, you know, because I think as humans we are always looking for the reward, and I guess until we get the heavenly reward there'll be no satisfaction totally, you know. There's glimpses of it, but it is like that if you don't, I guess, appreciate the process, then it'll really be empty, because yeah, it's like if without some struggle, it's ultimately it's pretty empty. With that being said, let's go to a video, and I think Bryan, I think you're going to really like this video. This is a content creator on TikTok. He's quite shadow banned, but he makes some good videos occasionally. It's rare that you see a video from him, but occasionally he'll make one.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries, right? Or does it mean no fathers? You see, I'm going to teach you how spelling works. But first, let's try Hakuna Matata in Japanese. You see, Akuma means the devil. Akuna means evil. So Akuna Matata, ma is the word for magic, and tata means many. So Akuna Matata means many evil demons in Japanese. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, Bryan, it's not Japanese. So you got to translate it in, Zulu or Swahili. Well, let's check Swahili. You see, Akuna Matata means there are complications. That's a little strange. Maybe we can type it in the right way. Akuna Matata all together. He confused me. Isn't spelling confusing? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Hakuna Matata in Zulu, it means no fathers. And that's the primary language spoken in the Lion King songs. It's Zulu. So Hakuna Matata, it means no fathers. Now, some of you might go, oh, but there's an H in the beginning. Sure, let's add the H. Hakuna Matata, there is no father. Isn't that fitting for a movie where the father is dead or gone? Hakuna Matata, it means no worries. No. Hakuna Matata means no fathers for the rest of your days. And this is how spelling actually works. They get you to chant or sing or come into agreement with a message unbeknownst to yourself. And you chant this spell aloud. You sing it over and over. They want you to chant this spell over and over to try to get you to bring a curse upon yourself. You see, this is how spelling works. This is why Disney puts these type of spells that you chant in the songs. This is why Pumbaa and Timon translate from the Uganda language allure to pump and rudder, as they pump you full of spells and steer the course of the spell. Never mind the racist component where Belle is from France and Snow White's from Germany and Mulan's from Asia. But when it comes to Africa, they make the movie about animals. And that's why Mufasa's name translates in Latin to funny, because they think it's funny that Mufasa dies and you're watching this movie. See, this is the real Lion King. A Disney movie about Africa, targeting African-American individuals, where the characters are animals and they sing a song, There Are No Fathers, and the father is dead or gone. Are you sure Disney is not racist?
I don't know, man. That guy didn't pronounce it right. It's Hakuna Matata. Like, I'm just saying, that guy did not pronounce things. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about.
That guy looks pretty familiar. I said I haven't seen him on my For You feed in a while, but I thought he was just shadow banned. But he hadn't really been making any videos, so I checked his page. But I was like, I missed him. I missed those videos.
Okay, well, I got some more coming.
Yeah. By the way, there's actually a part 2 to that video that was too hot for TikTok, and it might be too hot for YouTube. Otherwise, I'd have played the full version. But I just want to say the end of that video. That's racist. That's racist. Like, Disney is racist. I was like, this is why I love Bryan, is because that Bryan will see stuff that I would never see. Like, I'm definitely like one of those people who watch movies and I pick up all the, I don't think I pick up all of the things, but I pick up a lot. And people used to always like to ask me to decode stuff. But Bryan has a whole different kind of research path, and he's got just a different mind than I do. And yeah, that was when he said that about the Africa it was like you have all these different Disney princesses, different movies set in these different places, and yet in Africa, it's literally animals. And Hakuna Matata means no father, so it's what? That's racist. That's so racist. And I'm like, I shouldn't laugh, but I'm like, wow, that was a great connection. The whole thing was a great connection, but
bro, even the Princess and the Frog, they made the new. It's again the frog. She turns into an animal. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, somebody, like, dude, it's ridiculous. And then also, cuna means crib in Spanish, and Motara means death. Kuna Matata means death crib or dead baby, basically, which, by the way, that's another one in Spanish for you. And then, here's another thing. Like, people will also talk about, like, the stuff and be like, oh, that's not exactly what it is, bro. Here it is in Zulu, because people don't understand. Zulu, you can say father is umtata. Umtata. That's father in Zulu. But people are like, oh, it's not the same. Okay, I had to look it up because everybody was like, it's not in that one. Akuno, akakuno, or akakuna means none. And then akuna means there is. So, like, you can literally put it together in Zulu if you translate each part. And it literally comes out to being, it's a little subtly different, but it's akakuna matata. Akakuna umtada. Sorry, akakuna umtada. It's the same phrase. Akakuna matata. Like, I just said there's no fathers, and you can't even tell the difference between the original song. And so people are trying to, like, argue semantics of it. Are you kidding me, bro? Look at the whole freaking picture. Like, look at the whole picture.
Well, the whole thing is that I think your case is pretty tight, because it is about a movie about a little cub losing his daddy. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely fitting. But I mean, yeah, they haven't made another movie about African people where they're actually people. Even think about, like, the movie Madagascar. I mean, that's not about people either.
Every time they do Africa, it's about their animals. Every time they do something in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, that's not wrong. And obviously, so if the movie is about a lion cub losing his father and going out on his own, yeah, I mean, it's fitting. I mean, it's fitting that if that's what the song's name is. But of course, they had to set that in Africa for some reason. And yeah, if you do look up the history of Disney, yeah, they're
very racist.
There's a lot of stains on that history, if you know what I mean. And but that being said, we've talked about it often. It's not exclusive to this movie that it starts off with some major trauma in the movie where the kids lose their parents. The beginning of the movie, Bambi, right? Bambi is a great example of that. It's like that everybody, I think from my generation, we saw Bambi in the theaters, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, that's really intense. Like, the very beginning of the movie, where it's like, because you see the trailer to the movie, and it's all about, like, this little doe or not doe. I mean, this little baby deer, a fawn, and Thumper and all that. Of course, Thumper's a little pervert, And but no, yeah, like so you don't get the gist of like what the movie's really about and why there's no mother and father in there. It's because the dad left and the mom's dead.
Bro, and people talk about seeing Bambi, like you were saying, in the theaters and how shocking it was. Like even right now, you just re-expressing it, it was shocking. Like today, if you were to watch the Bambi cartoon, it might not be as shocking. But bro, back then at that time when that came out, that was like one of the first death sequences in a cartoon that was like so like shocking because kids went in going, "Oh, it's a movie about good stuff," and bam, dead. Like that dead. Is total trauma. It was like hook, line, bait, sinker trauma set. Like, bro, it was like people come in expecting to see bunnies and then death, like right in your face.
No, that was very intense. I can't help but think that I wonder if they were trying to push some angle of eventually, like, I don't know, like vegetarianism, veganism, where like the process of actually, because I'm sure where I live and it's not unique to anywhere, but like in Virginia and North Carolina and places like that. Yeah. My dad hunted, we ate the deer. I mean, but and obviously if you don't hunt them, well, they'll die of other things because they really don't have any natural predators where we live. So they kind of have to be hunted. But at the same time, it's like you eat them. There's really nothing wrong with that. I mean, like you don't want to know how the sausage is made, but you might eat it. So like there's that if you eat meat, things have to die. And if you think about it, like, if they traumatize a generation with that movie, I wonder how many vegetarians that movie ultimately made, because it's like it's obviously sad, especially when the animals talk when they die. It's really sad. I got to say though, some of the funniest internet memes I've ever seen are when it's like cats fighting and then they use the Lion King voices about like the scar. Like you ever seen the one where like the cat is hanging from like the tin roof or whatever? Yes. Scar.
Brother, help me.
Long live the king.
That is funny. That is pretty comical at this point now, just because we know it. But there's so much. It's funny because
but that's a pretty traumatic movie though. That even the Lion King is like, not knowing that Mufasa dies. And you know what? There's another thing with me is like that. Every movie about a dog, they must always die. I would say 99 out of 100 times, if there's a movie about a dog, the dog dies. I don't want to watch Old Yeller. I don't want to watch that stuff. Yeah, like because it's like you grow these attachments to pets, and so why is it? Yeah, so why is it that in the dog movies? Remember that Tom Hanks movie, Turner and Hooch, where he had like that big old.
I vaguely remember it. It was like a big basset hound or something, was it?
It was a kind of like a really ugly dog, but it was like a big dog.
Yeah, like big jowls, right?
Yeah, it was like a big slobbery dog. Yeah. And of course the dog dies. And of course it involves Tom Hanks and trauma. So maybe there's a lot more to that.
The thing is, like, dogs in our world, we perceive them as like innocent in a lot of ways because they're not like evilly maniacal. So it's
man's best friend.
Yeah, and so whenever you have an innocent character and you kill them, like that's a trauma. So that's why they probably killed the dog, because you can't justify like, oh well, he looked like this person I didn't like. There's nothing no one can look at a dog and be like, I hate that dog. Typically, like it's just not a thing you can do. So
you know what? We might as well just talk about this right now. And by the way, this is going to be cut for YouTube, but we'll just talk about this. So there'll be an uncut version somewhere. So the real question is, why are so many people like adults that love Disney, love Star Wars, love all the fantasy stuff? It does seem like we have a generation of people that have been completely traumatized. Yep. And so they want to revert back. They want to live in with the Na'vi and Pandora. They want to live in Pandora because this reality has just kicked them. And so they want to go back to a time where it's different. I think it makes sense. Actually, it makes perfect sense in all the research we've done about like MK Ultra and things like that. That people have disassociated, and that's why. Yeah, like I remember just thinking these people were such losers when I was taking my kids around for Halloween, and they were all dressed up, and they're like, Joe, where's your costume? I was like, I'm a grown man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm embarrassed that you asked me that question. It's like, I'm not wearing a costume. I'm like, I'm here with my kid. But yeah, like it was so common that they all wanted to dress up. I was embarrassed for them.
Wow.
And now I see it because I think that from my generation, me and Bryan were talking about this. Don't judge us, but we were talking about bullying needs to be brought back. Because we were saying
Yeah.
like that like having older brothers and having a dad who wasn't always trying to be your best buddy and giving you everything you wanted, like they had to give you some tough love sometimes. Yeah, you learn lessons and you learn like, yeah, you know, at some point you have to put the G.I. Joes away because it's lame when you get old when you're playing with toys. And it's like, I know that we all like to maybe eventually get like something and just stick it on a mantle and say, oh, that reminds me of my childhood. At the same time, yeah, like what was it said in the Bible? When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I act like a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. That's not what people are doing now.
No,
they're trying to go back to that childlike state, and it's really, really, it's lame on its surface level. But yeah, I do think that Bryan's onto something. That it's a much deeper thing, and it makes sense with the whole idea of who runs these media companies, and they're connected with 3-letter agencies, and they know how to control you. They traumatize you, and then they continue the trauma all through your life with eventually being 24-hour news networks.
Yep. Trauma bond, and then it just hangs on, and then they keep growing it, and they keep filtering into that trauma and feeding it to you, and you never fully get healed all the way, and they just create more traumas on top of it to get more control. And then pretty soon I tell somebody like, hey, you know, the Twin Towers may not have come down by terrorists, and maybe more might have been like our own government, and you know, that might be what happened there.
Well,
and
I mean, you really
can't
think
say
about
that without people freaking out, though.
Well, you really think about that day, though. I mean, talk about a trauma bond.
Yeah, it's totally
a mass trauma bond around the whole
Literally
world.
what it was.
Or maybe at least around the United States, big time. Because I mean, I remember like my dad liked a lot of the videos I made, but man, he really hated when I talked about 9/11. He hated it because he had
been trauma programmed.
Yeah,
and that's how MK Ultra works. Mass hypnosis. That's literally how it works.
Yeah, that's 100%. All right, shifting gears because we probably could definitely do a whole podcast on this.
Oh yeah, we can keep
for
going.
sure.
No, I could keep going.
But I want to go back to the topic of last week, Lost in Space, because hey guys, fantastic news! They're back on Earth. They're back from outer space. So let's watch.
They're no longer lost. It's so good. It's so good.
Maybe maybe it was the guy who interviewed them took them back on his spaceship.
Dude, I can't even believe that guy. Like, I can't believe I looked that up, and the dude literally was somehow interviewing them in space.
There was so many videos about this, but I think this one might be the most concise.
No one realized that the 2 astronauts stuck in space had actually never been to space. During the live broadcast of the astronauts being rescued, many people noticed something was off. It looked like an AI video. The graphics and effects were too perfect. The sky and water were super blue. The parachute didn't look real, and there were even dolphins in the background, just like a CGI trailer. Plus, when the capsule hit the cold sea, there was no steam, even though it should have been heated up. Then there was the timing issue. When the astronauts landed, they said the rescue team would take 30 minutes to get there, but it only took 2 to 3 minutes. Originally, American astronauts Barry Wilmore and Suni Williams were only supposed to stay in space for 8 days, but in the video that came out later, they were even celebrating holidays with decorations. I don't believe the space station supplies would have included that stuff, so the only explanation is this was all planned. They never went to space. They were just somewhere creating the illusion of being stuck there. The biggest issue is this. Reports said they came back to Earth on SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule, But we know SpaceX has already had 2 failed test flights this year. On January 16th, it broke apart during a test. Then, on March 6th, during launch, there was an energy event that caused several Raptor engines to fail, and the spacecraft lost control and disintegrated. So, do you still think this whole thing is real?
I would not have written on Elon Musk's rocket back to Earth. Heck, freaking no. Heck
they
no.
blow up a lot, don't they?
I have seen that thing blow up several times now. I would not be writing back on that thing. Like, no freaking way.
Well, I think that's the thing about the International Space Station to me. And if you guys got a video, I'll be happy to be proved wrong about this. Maybe not happy, but I could be proved wrong about this. I want to see them dock up to the International Space Station. It seems like it would be an intense thing, right? That would be the most insanely like engineering, scientific thing that they could get to this thing that's moving at that rate, dock with it somehow, and then people get out and go in, and you know what I'm saying? They have the video
of it docking, I think, but it looks questionable.
It's kind of like where they launch a rocket, and then after about 2 minutes, it becomes cartoons, right? And then
all I know is what you just showed with those parachutes. That was totally CGI, and the ocean was CGI. What was that? Is that the actual footage?
Yeah, let me. Actually, you know what? I've got a few more.
There's no way that was the actual footage. That's got to be like a simulation.
This was like obviously a very hot topic on TikTok. So I mean, I had
is that the actual footage though?
Let me show you another one.
Dude, you know what I think is more alarming is the fact that her hair comes back with her hair did. You know what I mean? Like she then did her hair, and the roots were no longer gray when she came back.
Nah, Bryan, you cannot tell me. We are not living in a movie. So after 9 months stranded in space, the 2 astronauts, Sunny and Butch, they touch down to Earth in a scene so damn beautiful. It looks AI generated. You can see boats racing to them in the distance, and then SpaceX hits them with the coldest line that they've been waiting 286 days to hear.
Butch, Sunny, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
Oh, and just when you think it couldn't get any cooler, they are welcomed by a pod of dolphins. What is this? Now keep in mind, they haven't felt gravity in like nearly a year, and you can lose about 1/3 of muscle mass in just 2 weeks. So, when they actually touched down, they needed help standing up again, and they were even given these rolling chairs so that their bodies can begin readjusting. Sunny broke the world record for the most spacewalking for a female astronaut. Oh, and apparently, they won't be paid overtime for the trip.
Let me switch this other video. This shows a little bit of the.
That looks so unreal.
Blatant green screen. Where's all the wash around the? Where is it? Right? I've been in the water all my life, mate. Right? That's a load of shit.
Yeah, where's the weight?
They're running this one hard, mate.
Oh my gosh, the wave just went through the thing. The wave went through. Go do that again. Do that again.
Okay.
The wave went through the spaceship.
I've been in the water all my life, mate. Right? That's a green screen.
Okay. Look at the left side.
Wash around the. Where is it? Right?
Yeah, that's not there.
I've been in the water all my life, mate. Right? That's
Look on the left side. Look at the left side. Look. Okay, the wave. It breaks right there,
hard,
and it passed through without even having a wake change.
Yeah.
There is no. That is CGI completely.
Like I got another one. Let me
the wake didn't even change.
Yeah, this one cracked me up.
Well, you know, I was up in space for about 9 months, never wore a helmet once. Once I got back down to Earth, I had to put that plastic thing on. Don't want that oxygen to fucking kill me, you know what I mean? Hell, it's 2025 out here and we're wearing Spirit Halloween astronaut costumes. Doesn't even have a port entry for fucking any wires or air, anything. How about the new boots? They're actually separate boots from the fucking white pleather suit she has on with a fucking zipper. So if the door perhaps flies open while you're in space, your butthole's gonna fly through your fucking pant leg. Also, you may want to put the plastic shield down so it actually looks like an authentic fucking picture.
I can't believe they put out a CGI video. Like the way the parachutes fell and the filming was so smooth. And the freaking water has zero wake breaking on all of that. Like that is 100%. That is CGI. And then a pod of dolphins interact with
Yeah, that's like literally the thing touches down within minutes. There's somebody there to pick them up. But in the meantime, the dolphins were waiting there. Flipper was there
Yeah, well, that's
to welcome them.
Yeah, thank you, Flipper, for welcoming our astronauts, bro. That is just insane because, like, I think that's part of the distraction because people are going to be talking about, oh, the dolphins, not talking about the fact that the CGI looked like it, dude, bro. I feel like AI could have made better fake stuff than that. That looks so fake.
I think that there's just something about AI where it's good. It's very good now. It's way better than it ever used to be. But we still, with our eyes, the way God made our eyes, we are very attuned to see what's real and what's not real. You know, it's like I said, it's getting better. And I think what it really does is it gives people who want to be fooled cover to be fooled. Because if you want to believe that story is real, it's real enough. It's not like, and by the way, teasing, because we basically go back and answer a question that we had last week. But yeah, if you want to believe, it's believable enough where you don't get made fun of completely. Like if you believe the flag that they planted on the moon is waving and talking to Richard Nixon from the White House on the moon, like that stuff, yeah, you rightfully get clowned on for believing that. But somebody could say, you know, if your grandma believed that was real video, well, of course she would. I mean, they believed they believed that War of the Worlds was real on the radio.
Yeah, at the time they definitely had a perspective to believe. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're like, oh, this is good enough to fool 90% of the masses.
Yeah,
you know, or 95, and it's like this was good enough at the time, and then they have to like go back and like redo it or delete it or change it to be like, oh yeah, it didn't really work. You know what's funny? I think it's funny is that like whenever you look at footage from like back in the day, it's like the footage, even when it's not even that far back,
I know it looks ancient,
older and older and older.
Anything that's pre HD looks like crap.
Why? No, it just looks so much worse.
Well, I mean, we're so used to HD. I remember the first time I got HD TV, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I would watch anything in HD because the old TVs look so bad compared to it. But yeah, now that you watch videos of like man on the street stuff from 9/11, 2001, it looks like it's the 1970s.
It's crazy how terrible it looks. How does it look that bad? Because I don't remember it being that bad at that time.
Well, I think the thing is like, so we have giant TVs, lots of us, or we have monitors. The amount of pixels in your phone. So when you watch stuff, it's like you're used to seeing just crystal clear. I mean, even like the frames per second you see, like, you know, some people's feeds are like lifelike. And then so you see stuff like that. It's just not that way. I think that they are upset with themselves that they ever gave us color TVs. They said this would be so much more believable if this is in black and white. We could fake this so much easier if there's a little bit of static and some glitches in the screen. Yeah, they were like, that was a dumb idea. We should have never gave those peasants color TV.
No, should have kept that secret for themselves, apparently. So funny. Dude, you know what I've been thinking about is like how much of the technology is just being reintroduced into our society from like Tesla's time, you know? Like they really, who knows what like technological advances they had, but they're just like, after the little season came in and they started repopulating the planet, they probably were like, okay, what's the secrets we'll release to the society? Like,
yeah, they're dripping stuff out. I mean, I think most people who know, and I don't think this is conspiratorial at all, that by the time we get certain technology in our homes, the government has had it for a long time. I mean, I can only speculate how long they've had HD before we ever got HD, but they've had it a long time. And, you know, I'm going to go back to that one video because we asked about that crazy, crappy video of them going back from the moon back to Earth with the sparkles and the police slayer. And so I found a video, go right into my For You feed. And I'm going to show you guys that video because this gives an answer to a question we asked last week.
One of the most asked questions here is who filmed the craft leaving the moon in 1972? Who filmed the Apollo 17 lunar module leaving the moon? NASA says it was a Westinghouse color TV camera mounted on the lunar rover and remotely controlled from Earth. This happened in 1972 during the final Apollo mission. According to NASA, an operator at Mission Control in Houston anticipated the launch, manually tilting the camera upwards to follow the ascent, despite a 1.3-second delay in signals between Earth and the moon. But here's where things don't add up. How did a NASA operator perfectly track a rocket launch with 1970s technology and a delay? Even modern space feeds struggle with lag today. If the camera had a pre-programmed movement, why don't we see this level of precision in modern space missions? And what about the lunar dust? Why wasn't there a massive cloud kicked up by the engine blast? Then there's the power source. The camera was battery-powered, using silver zinc batteries. But how did they survive the extreme lunar temperatures and function flawlessly at the exact right moment? And what happened after the lunar module left? NASA says the camera kept broadcasting for about 4 minutes before they lost the signal. Forever. They never got that signal back. No more live footage was ever transmitted from the moon. No other camera was left running, and we've never seen high-quality continuous footage of the moon after Apollo ended. Convenient? And the final point, just look at it, please. Look at it. So, was this an incredible technical achievement or something else?
No way, dude. That can't be real. Surely that's not what they're saying. That's got to be like what is that? An NBC reenactment footage?
No, they were saying they said it's real, I guess. And
dude,
yeah.
NASA, I've got to look this up now. I can't even quote on that.
Well, so I think what the Bully Slayer said was more believable, that it was a guy they left on the moon who happened to be black, and they left him on there because somebody had to take one for the team to get that once in a lifetime shot.
Oh my gosh, bro.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, yeah, there's no way that you would have timed it. And I think that was the first thing that I noticed when I saw that, besides the dumb sparkles that look so fake. I would just it pans up. I mean, the fact that it pans up.
It zooms out and pans up.
Yeah, it gets the shot. It gets the shot like only a person could do that.
Bro,
not in 1972. You couldn't. There was no AI to do that in 1972.
No, there was no remote controls that were that good even. So, dude, there's no freaking way. That's got to be an NBC reenactment of the moon landing.
They say it's real. That's what.
Did you look it up? Did you look it up?
I didn't, but I saw somebody in the comments mention they said it was real, and then this said it was real. So
they said it was a remote controlled person
from Houston
with a delay
from Houston.
They said
that. Well, they said that there was definitely a delay. So they were saying NASA doesn't mention the delay so much, but they just mentioned that somebody from Houston did that with a remote control that was left on the rover, the stupid part of a Jeep.
And how'd they get the footage? How'd they get the footage back?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. That's what I've always said, that live streaming in 2025 can be problematic in certain places. Live streaming
except for in the moon, it's okay.
Live streaming from the moon seems ridiculous because I don't know how it works.
It's easy.
I don't know how it works, bro. Because I don't know how they live stream. And and you think about it, even the whole idea where we clown on Richard Nixon talking to somebody on the moon. Can you imagine how much the delay would be?
Yeah,
if they were doing that on a live broadcast, it would be. You could not have a conversation because it would take so long.
No, JT, signal. You're wrong. In the moon, there's special ways where the moon's bounces the radio waves faster, and you can live stream from the moon much easier.
Yeah, the radio waves work differently because of the gravity's difference around the moon.
Exactly, and so the radio waves they transmit better.
Makes sense to me. I got one more video that we have to play, and this is a shorter one. Because this also came out this week. This great footage from NASA. This was actually I think it was Don Pennant, the astronaut, who said that they destroyed the technology from the movie. He posted this on his Twitter.
Oh, I love that guy. He's hilarious.
Look at this really, really realistic footage that NASA just released.
That's the docking.
So that's what it. So actually, that's the docking.
Yeah, that's the docking footage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I mean,
Bryan, do you believe that's real?
you know, I mean, that could be. I mean, it does come to a pretty abrupt stop. I've already analyzed it, and it does have a little bit of a shake when it hits. It does look a little fishy, and there is some light flares off the lights on the thing. So it does look suspiciously like it could be. It could be.
Bryan,
real,
that
but
looks
it is
like
moving
Attack of the
so
Clones,
fast.
Phantom Menace
Yeah.
type CGI. It looks so ridiculous, so dated. It looks like cartoon. I mean, that looks. I thought that looks way faker than the splashdown.
The splashdown, bro? No, dude, the splashdown was way faker than that.
Well, I mean, they're both fake. They're both fake. Which one looks faker? To my eye, I would say.
Put it in the comments. Which one's faker?
Yeah, which one do you guys think looks
Tell
faker?
us in the comments.
I think I actually give them a little credit. I think
Splashdown or the docking.
The problem with the splashdown, it looks too perfect.
It's so perfect. It's
it looks too perfect. And that's what's wrong with the outer space stuff. They need to go more like old school Star Wars, not like the prequels that look fake. You gotta get a little. You got to have a little bit of dirt to them. You got to have some grit to it to make it look kind of real. Because, that looks so sterile and just looks. It looks like a computer did it because a computer did it.
Do you remember when episode 1 came out and it was like hyper real and clean and crisp? It looks so crappy and fake looking. I don't know. That's what I thought when I saw it first.
Well, because it's because again, like
so
you
smooth.
You have like a thing, and I know when maybe we'll have to get into a video about this, but there's the term called the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Where we can kind of spot fake things. It's very obvious when it's people because we can see like a face, and if the mouth moves weird, you're like automatic. Our brain says that's not real. But I think it is like the reason I think that the original sci-fi movies from like if you go back and watch like the first Alien movie, there's some crappy parts in it. But the very first one, and that's like in the 1970s. So obviously the first Star Wars movies in the 1970s because they use real models and they use matte paintings. So they were real, but they weren't, so they were real things, real tangible things. And I think that's why it looks more real because they can use computers to kind of brush up the effects. Isn't it interesting, like movies like Jurassic Park? It was like in 1990. I can't remember which time that came out. It was like mid-90s. Jurassic Park came out. That movie's CGI best almost any movie today.
Dude, that movie was great.
Yeah, but I think they did it right because you have like the computer graphics and they have real models and sometimes they fleshed them out more, but also they made it dark, they made it rain, so it was harder to see. But when you make something so crisp like that, like kind of like on a sunny day, they should have done the splashdown on a rainy day. It would have been harder to see. That's what I would have done. I would have said I would go like the Spielberg thing where I would be like, let's do it like Jaws. When the robotic shark does not work, it's more scary when you can't see it because we can't show it. So don't show everything.
Did they show it splash down actually though? Like,
I mean, they showed it all. I think that's also kind of the thing where I'm like thinking, so they took a rocket up there and then they just get in some pod and then they just drop down to Earth. I don't know. The whole thing seems fake because it's fake.
It's fake.
It's fake. It's the whole thing is fake. But by the way, something you said, and I've seen a lot of these people posting these memes and talking about it. The woman that had gray hair and then she had dark hair. The dark hair was actually when she got onto the International Space Station. So people are taking the pictures of her before, and they're saying that's the after shot, which is incorrect.
Is that what it is?
I almost feel like that's bait. So if you guys are seeing those memes shared around, how she's got her roots, obviously, dyed dark, and then you see it's reversed. So she had dark roots,
really?
and then she's more gray. I feel like that's the bait. They want us to post that stuff, so they can clown on us.
Well, I talked about that, so I didn't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but I actually did look it up because I think that would be an obvious video to make. I was going to make that video if it had. But see, your boy, like I said, not to pat myself on the back, even though I'm doing it right now. Yes, I will usually try to check back to get some receipts before I post a video because I don't like being wrong.
No, yeah, nobody does. You know, I'm still just baffled at, like, I cannot believe that footage of the thing leaving with the sparkles shooting out is actually radio controlled footage that got transmitted and acquired from the freaking moon on the rover that was left. There's no, if that's what NASA says that footage came from, I'm completely shocked. If that's literally what they believe, and they don't go, oh, actually, it was a CNBC reenactment footage. It was one of those things. Like, dude, if they're legit saying that I'm gonna have to look this up. There's no freaking way, because that is just shocking to me. That's actual claimed to be real footage. Those sparkles are such good CGI. They're amazing sparkles. I believe those sparkles. I mean, it's not the sparkles, obviously, throwing me off.
Okay. So we got to talk about the other big news. And of course, this actually is kind of fitting for both of us. A lot of people have been asking my opinion about this over here.
Okay, if you haven't heard the news about the pyramids and what's going on, there was some new technology, this study that was done that shows LiDAR and radio frequencies and shows there's things underneath the pyramid that go down, these cylindrical pylons that go down about like 600 meters, potentially other structures up to 2 kilometers. And there's like these footings and these little spring things. Like, this is insane. It means that the Egyptians didn't build these things. This is potentially evidence of a pre-flood civilization. And if that's the case, then yes, we're talking about like the Babel stuff, the Genesis stuff. It's all real. In the Bible, there was advanced civilization, fallen angels. They had the technology. They were given to them. Yeah, it's all real and it's all crazy. We'll see.
Love it. That's great.
So what's your first take on the fact that they had, I guess, LiDAR scans? Is that what they were using to see some kind of pylons or something under
I think
the
it was a
pyramids?
combination of different type of scans, I thought, but I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Yeah, well, it was some kind of sound wave technology. I got to be honest. I don't know what LiDAR is. I just hear that.
It's radar with light. Okay, so it's light. It's light-based radar. So it maps things.
That makes sense.
Sonar is sound-based radar. Okay, so it's a sonar type of. It's some type of sound wave sonar technology of sorts, I believe. And so that is so fascinating. But I commented on one of this archaeological girl that first broke the news. She's pretty famous, and she like hates Christians and makes witch content. Pretty terrible. But I commented on her video, and my comments like got more like likes than all the other comments on her post. I was like, I find it fascinating that, humans try to explain these things with logic. But, in the Bible and old occultic texts, they talk about King Solomon using demons to build these structures. And in other stories and myths and legends throughout history, they talk about giants or enslaved demons or jinn or other creatures building megalithic structures and massive structures, being enslaved and building this, and I'm like, and it would behoove you to realize that, like, maybe these people might know what they're talking about and might give you a better explanation as to what this is under the freaking pyramids, with giant pillars that track down to holes at the back. Like, to me, that's a demonic horde. That's a demonic cavity horde. And all those little tunnels are demon channels for demons to go up and for demons to do ritual practices.
Oh, really?
Up, and then they would pass through the rock, because demons can manipulate rock. Okay, demons and ancient giants and Nephilim had an ability to not just move big rocks, but manipulate rocks. Okay, like they can make it solid or not solid. That's why you get the expression "turn to stone," like the trolls that turned to stone, or Medusa turned them to stone. It was because the demons had an ability to manipulate rock. They could turn things rock solid, turn it to like a liquid state, and then solidify it somehow. And so there was things over time that have turned to stone. And so, like, that's another thing. It was like, because people people, like, there was demonic homes and demonic structures throughout history that I think over time petrified back into stone. And they're like, oh, the demons turned it to stone. And so that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, this concept. And so, but they also had an ability to manipulate stone. And so they made channelways, they made tunnels, they made all kinds of things for them to go up and down and in and out of structures. And this was a worship place where they were sacrificing humans. Okay, the Egyptian.
Bryan, you know all this stuff about that? I mean, because if you actually saw, I mean, I've seen the 3D renderings, but have you actually seen what they showed? There was just like little. I mean, it's really hard to make out what it actually is. I want to play this one video before you go too deep. Some people have been saying this stuff. This is not new to some of us. Let's watch this video here by the Bully Slayer.
Oh my days! When you think you've seen it all, you ain't seen nothing yet. So all this time, we've only been touching the surface. You thought the pyramids was big. Well, guess what? They're even bigger. Even in the movie Dusk Till Dawn, they tried to show us. But I guess we couldn't see it. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind.
So that's basically my comment, is like that some of us are really not all that impressed by this news. I'm more I'm more like, why are they telling us now? Because everything I've researched over the past probably 2 years, I've learned there's stuff underground everywhere. And they are liars if they didn't know that there was things under the pyramids. Liars. We know that they're liars. That is what everyone has been saying for years, probably for thousands of years. They've been saying that some of the greatest secrets of Egypt are under the earth. We've always known that. So there's been many people who've done research in this field, and they've always said that. But you have the gatekeepers in Egypt. I know there was that guy Zahi Hawass, who was like the main kind of Egyptologist, which is a fake science, by the way. That's not a real thing. Like, you don't major in Egyptology. It's just the fact that these people are gatekeepers and they give them like an appeal to authority and they have this title. But yeah, there's definitely things under there. And yeah, my main question here is like, so to me, I saw the pictures. They don't look like obelisks. It doesn't look a full obelisk. That would be awesome if it did, but it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But again, we know that based on all the kind of mud flood research, old world research, there's been a layer of earth pretty consistently over the whole top of the earth. And probably the older stuff. I mean, I do believe it makes sense to me that I've been pretty consistent, and Bryan, I think, has always agreed with me that I believe some of the most impressive megalithic things we see on the earth were from the days of Noah. So you can imagine after a flood of that level, how much sediment was moved over and covered things. And even if you see like pictures from like the earliest pictures of the pyramids in the Giza Plateau, it's pretty buried with sand. So they had to kind of dig lots of it out. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that they didn't really understand how far deep it is. I would say that the one thing that makes me kind of laugh about it is they always show us this like diagram from like a cut section from the pyramids, and they show the shaft that goes under it. It's like they know that there's this shaft that goes underneath it, but they didn't know that there was these things that were under that. Come on. I want to say the Bully Slayer. Come on, brother. You gonna lie to us like that? Again, they've been lying to us. They've known things are under the pyramids. They've known there's things under everywhere, but now they're telling us. So the real question is, why are they telling us now?
That is a very particular question, because it's like now, I mean, like seeing this evidence coming out and they're admitting to it, like, bro, and they're acknowledging that it's legit. Like, how else would something like that be built? You think humans built something like that? That's so magnificently massive. It goes down, what, a mile almost? Like,
well, it's just, I guess the thing, the way I think about it is that in the mud flood research, we don't think they were just digging basements. Like that was used to be the top of the earth. They built on top of the earth. So that's the real question. That's the kind of more spooky question. How deep does it go? And
I don't think there's any way that could have been buried that deep and like that much land and that much sand.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe
but
it might have sunk, or it must have been dug down in.
Well, the pyramid's pretty level, so if there was anything under the base, if it sunk, I think that the pyramids would not be level. So
That's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not curious about what it all means and like what they could find. I guess the thing I guess I am a little bit of a cynic when it comes to when the science tells us something. They're never going to tell us the questions that I would have, answers to questions that I would have questions for.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would never say, "Oh, guys, this is proof of giants." Imagine if they did, though.
Oh man,
I'm gonna go like once again Dumb and Dumber, like a 1 in a million chance. So they're telling me, what if they did say, "This is proof that giants built stuff"? Then I would really have to say, why would they tell us the giants built stuff? It'd be like, again, you have to always take this with a healthy dose of skepticism. Like So what are they going to try to introduce next if they tell you something that's true?
They're gods. They're gods.
It really reminds me of like the alien phenomenon, the UAP phenomenon, UFOs, where they always said they didn't exist. We always said there's definitely things up there. We don't know what they are. Bryan and I we have to say this every time. We don't believe in space aliens, but UFOs are definitely real. The real question is, what are they? The government denies them completely forever. And then one day they just say, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, they're totally real. And then now they just talk about it openly. So as conspiracy theorists, and maybe not necessarily Bryan and I, lots of people believed in aliens and they believed in UFOs and they definitely said they were real. And then as soon as the government starts saying they're real, they're like, okay, they're lying. Because they do lie. So they have a reason to tell you something. The real question is, you have to play a little bit past. Like, what are they going to try to reintroduce or introduce now after they told you something true?
Maybe they were like testing the waters when they said that there was aliens, to see how gullible society was, or how like welcoming of it people were, or how prepared or brainwashed they were. Like, I think a large majority of people were like, nope, those are demons. And like, I think most people knew. And so a lot of people knew. They're like, dang it, we're too early. We need to wait. We need a little bit more brainwashing, massaging to their brains before we can reintroduce the alien thing. And people go, aliens, we love them.
So I'm gonna play this video because that was the other big news that hit this week. Is that the JFK files have been introduced. Check this out. I like this guy, James Lee. I think he's really good.
Everything is starting to make sense now, Trump releasing the JFK files today. Let me explain. So on Monday afternoon, Trump is at the Kennedy Center, and he announces that on Tuesday, he is going to be releasing, quote unquote, all of the JFK files. Tuesday comes along, and the files do indeed get released. People were pumped. There was this document being shared widely pointing to maybe the CIA being involved, although I'm not really 100% sure if this was a new document or not. Also pretty sure that this was already public knowledge. There are also a few other documents that confirm that the CIA works closely with Israeli intelligence, which is once again not new information. We already know this. So yeah, overall, as expected, it was a bit of a nothing burger. The conclusion still, Kennedy was killed as he traveled in an open car motorcade through Dallas by a single gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, on November 22nd, 1963. So why do I say all of this is making sense? It's all going according to plan. Well, because as we were all too busy looking at the files, this happened. Gaza experienced its deadliest day since November 2023 on Tuesday as Israel resumed the war with a deadly wave of airstrikes on the enclave. More than 400 fatalities. Now here's where the plot thickens a little bit. The White House confirmed to the media that they were consulted prior to those strikes happening on Tuesday. It also came out that Trump's promise to release the JFK files set off a, quote, all-night scramble, which would sort of indicate that they weren't ready to release these files quite yet. In other words, his announcement came as a bit of a surprise. A ploy to distract, perhaps, from the fact that we're about to get dragged into possibly another war on behalf of our closest ally. Yeah, because we found out today, 3 more aircraft carriers are headed over to the Middle East. But yet, B, we got a declassified document that says that JFK Jr. called Joe Biden a quote-unquote traitor. I don't know. This is just my take. Maybe I'm too cynical. You tell me.
Oh, man. It is so obvious that it is tied to the little hat people.
The timing is pretty interesting. And yeah, by the way, Israel violated the ceasefire and they bombed Gaza. And so it was the same time where the astronauts were splashing down. It's the same time the JFK files were being released. That is quite a coincidence that those things happened around the exact same time. And so people are really not talking about what's happening over there. That guy, James Lee, if you guys are on social media, he's really excellent as far as giving the kind of the news in the way that, I don't know, maybe it's from the view that I would have, but he's really good at like breaking down these stories and talking about the things that are really, obviously maybe it's less taboo than it used to be, but he's saying some things that as his account grows, he's obviously putting a target on his back. He's kind of like, I think he's friends with Ian Carroll. Yeah. And so like they talk about some of the same things about, exposing that our greatest ally is really not our greatest ally. And it is interesting if what he said was true, that Trump basically got a phone call and then he made everyone just hop to it to get this stuff out there, and they were not ready for it. I don't know. The whole thing is kind of bizarre because, again, like JFK was killed, what, like 70 years ago, 60 something years ago?
Long time ago.
And why is this stuff classified at all?
That's ridiculous.
It does almost feel like that they're just trying to like hold something out for us. Oh, well, we're going to get this real exciting news about this thing that happened a long time ago that almost everybody involved would be dead. But they do talk about the practices that these spy agencies use are still intact. And also, if they involve current allies, maybe our greatest ally, that would be a reason that there would be no good time to release this stuff. Regardless, because if people die, obviously the entities that were involved, the agencies, are still involved in doing all the tomfoolery and all the weird stuff that we always talk about with deep states and shadow governments and all that stuff.
It seems to me like they're intentionally, there's no other reason why they would hide that stuff unless they don't want people to know about Israel. That there's no other reason. And the files that they release, guys, you think those are the files? No. They literally point to the fact that the CIA was involved in plotting it. Bull freaking crap. They left out a huge portion of those files. You want to know? I'll tell you right now what parts they left out. There's a guy. His name goes by the name Jolly. What's his name?
Jolly West. Oh man,
Jolly West.
I did the video about that, about how like he had this secret meeting with Jack Ruby, and Jack Ruby had never had any kind of psychiatric issues at all. And after meeting with Jolly West, who was connected with MK Ultra, this guy suffered a psychotic break that he never recovered from. And so the Warren Commission never interviewed him until afterwards. And then his testimony was worthless because he was crazy.
Jolly West is an MK Ultra hypnotist. Okay. He is a very powerful hypnotist. He controls demons. That's what a really good ones do. They control demons. The base level at the bottom is just like psychological mess with your head. But when you get really good, it's demonic control. And the Jolly West was a demon master controlling demons that were manipulating people's minds. And he did that to Jack Ruby. And they left that whole section out. Why was there nothing mentioning Jolly West in those documents? Why didn't they mention that guy? Oh, but the reality is, because he should have been mentioned and they should talk about hypnosis. But the biggest psyop that they've got going right now is the fact that you think hypnosis is not real. That's the real.
Well, what they've said is that what they've released has been surprisingly unredacted. And so if you guys don't know what that means, is redacted is usually when you see basically black marks over text in these old documents. But yeah, like obviously we would never know if they didn't put some documents in there, so they could have redacted a whole document by not just by omission. But yeah, I actually did a video, and maybe I'll have to tease it when I get my website up and running. I had copyright issues with this, but I connected Jack Ruby with the Scarecrow in the Batman movies. Batman Begins, the Scarecrow character.
That's probably why your TikTok got banned, bro.
Dude, I saw that interview with the guy who wrote the book called Chaos on Rogan once, and I immediately made the connection because in that movie, there's a mob boss, Carmine Falcone. And so he's like the bad guy in Gotham. And at one point, so the guy who kills Bruce Wayne's parents, Joe Chill, he assassinates Bruce Wayne's parents, right? And then eventually in the movie, he basically gets a court date. And as he's walking out from the court, Carmine Falcone sends a guy to go assassinate him in front of everybody with the cops holding him. So after that, in that scene, they bring, there's a scene where Carmine Falcone gets arrested for it. And he's claiming to be insane. They send Scarecrow in there. And Scarecrow sprays him with stuff. And then he's insane. He has a psychotic break that he never recovers from. And then he gets moved to Arkham Asylum.
That spray is not spray. It's hypnosis, and it's real.
But I mean, but the point is like that is exactly, like if you look at the parallels between Jolly West and the character of Scarecrow in that movie, it's the same. It's like, almost like to a T, like they copied Batman Begins off a true story. And it blew me away that, like, again, they reveal that kind of truth in these movies. And yeah, the craziest part is the fact that, the Warren Commission is very much like the 9/11 report, where there's so many things they didn't look into for good reasons why they didn't look into it, like Building 7 and all that stuff, that it was like a whitewash. And then so you think about it, Kennedy gets killed, and eventually you have like Lyndon Johnson gets in there. Lyndon Johnson gets out of office. You get Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon is, if you actually look into it, Bob Woodward, who got him out of office, it was basically like a deep state coup that got him out of office. And they got Gerald Ford in there. The first unelected president was Gerald Ford, and he was on the Warren Commission. There was the whitewash documents to say that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. And again, they never interviewed Jack Ruby, the guy who assassinated him, in that place. I mean,
we're doing a movie on this, by the way.
Okay,
you know, right now
let's see that.
It's going to be the United Snakes of America. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's called the JFK Files, and we're doing a movie on it. It just hit me. I'm like, we're doing it because I got to tell you everything about it. I got to say it all.
Dude, that's funny. We should, for a little background on Bryan and I, that when we first started chatting back and forth, like on TikTok, and then we started talking, and then Bryan's like, I feel like God wants us to work together, and then he said, we need to do this movie. And I remember, like, me and him both made this thing. Bryan made the logo for the United Snakes of America. I think I came up with the title.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but Bryan wanted to do a movie about like kind of the founding fathers. But you know what? I'm kind of glad we didn't make that movie a long time ago, because the things we've learned, the things we've learned so far.
Things we know now for sure has changed.
But yeah, it's interesting how the direction went, because eventually then we made Ancient Angels. Like probably shortly after that, we completely just shift Nephilim angel stuff, and now we got to make a little season movie, and we need to make a United Snakes of America. That's a great title. Don't steal it. Trademark.
Yeah, trademark already. Well, bro, I'm already down. We're doing it right now. Like I'm already planning it in my head. It's going to be about the JFK files, and we're going to start with not the very beginning. We'll have other episodes, but we're going to start with JFK. And that's going to be, and because of the JFK files that came out, we're going to talk about all the things that they left out, and we're going to talk about Jolly. And to bring this all back around, guys, just so you know, all back around at the beginning, when I talked about trauma, I'm going to tell you all something real quick. So when it comes to hypnosis, who can be hypnotized and who can't be? Guess who the best hypnotist subjects are? People that have trauma. If you have trauma, you are a very good hypnotic subject. Did you know that? And so we're going to talk about this in the documentary, because people that have been through trauma have that cavity space that's been blocked off. And that's what hypnotists utilize when they take over your mind. They utilize the trauma blocked mind space, and they can program you to be anything in that trauma based mind. And that's why the hypnosis works for some people. It doesn't work with others. If you don't have a lot of trauma in your life, or you've settled your trauma, you are unhypnotizable. Like, you can go to do a hypnotist show and it won't work to you. If you've got a lot of reserved traumas that you're like holding on to, bro, hypnotists will say sleep and you'll go out and you'll be done. Like, they can make you do anything you want when you go out. And it's literally because of the trauma in your mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. Manchurian candidates type stuff. So, but on that note, guys, yeah, we'll tease a little bit of it. So yeah, obviously, if you guys did not get the parts that were blanked out of this episode, yeah, there's going to be some gaps. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, there's an uncut version that will be out on this. And I'll tease the website. Hopefully the website will be out soon. And as soon as it is, that's where I'll be able to put my uncut content, because there's really no safe place to put it. So I'd have to put it on my own server on my website. So eventually it'll be jtfollowsjc.com. You guys can check that out. And hopefully I'll have some merch there as well. But yeah, this is like, it's exciting. I'm exciting. I feel like God is actually moving in my life here. I feel like it's moving toward potentially, yeah, if I can do this full time, yeah, the sky is the limit as far as like the kind of stuff we can make, the movies. Because I think that's where Bryan and I's heart really is. I really love making podcasts, but I mean, the idea of making movies is really exciting. I would love to expand past this and then be able to talk endlessly about them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And
Bryan, why don't you tell everybody about what's coming on the next episode of Ancient Angels?
Ancient Angels episode coming up, guys. Subscribe to Demon Racers if you haven't already, and on YouTube. And it's going to be a few different things. We've got ancient Chinese myths and legends that I'm going to be talking about that directly correlate to the Bible, that are going to blow your mind, and its connection to Hebrew and the origins of Japan tethered into the connections of the Bible. And that is probably the next one we're going to talk about. Or I might be talking about little people and dwarves and gnomes.
Ooh,
I haven't
or leprechauns, right?
Yeah, because we might be talking about leprechauns.
We missed St. Patty's Day, but we can double back.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be where we're going. Either way, these are where it's coming up, and there's even more coming up. So stay tuned, because I'm just breaking down every Nephilim subject from every angle, from every component, tethered into Nephilim understanding and ancient history, and then we're going to be going into other psychological stuff and demons. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, guys, look out for that. And of course, guys, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. As always, I really appreciate your support. You guys have been so good to us recently. We love you guys. God bless you.
Bye.
Everyone left me. Everyone deserted me. Jesus was always there. When everyone hated me and walked away, Jesus never walked away.